it's just Michael, you reach out to the Park County Attorney. So we get whatever proceedings need to be going to get that done.
Yeah, I'll check on this, and when you read this statute, you can go both ways, so I'm going to check on some case law, if there is any.
That was the most recent one. I know they appointed a Fremont County judge to handle the film position, making the decisions. So
Yeah, in the case law, and there's just some gaps from what I can tell, just like what Marty talked about, because that question was
I am so sorry I flinched because that looked like it hurt.
just like the statutes talked about when it was brought to my attention last week about whether it had to be a Republican, one of the three people, and it just says qualified individual, and the only person that needs to be qualified is a resident. For this position, you just have to be a resident of the county. So there's some gaps all over the place, but I will move forward accordingly.
No, it's not alcohol.
Get into this stuff.
Not much alcohol.
Clerk vacancy interviews. Ms. Drost. Oh, yeah. Appreciate it. Ms. Drost forwarded me the three names that came out of the precinct committee meeting on Saturday. Mr. Tillman, Ms. Fallon, and Mr. Jasinski were the three names brought forward from that meeting on Saturday. I guess I just want some guidance from the board how we want to do the interview deal. Would we like to have one individual at a time? We could start alphabetically maybe or something, and ask the other two step out, or do we want to have them all in for the same interview? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, in past situations like this, we always ask the others to step out, only because what happens is that even when we rotate, it's real easy to say I agree with, and we don't always get original answers. We get I agree with, and I have to say that I've been guilty of that myself, because you just are in a situation that I don't know if I can come up with anything new or original. And so what I would ask, I prefer this to be open and not, there's been times we've done executive session, I just prefer this to be open. So if I could ask that the other candidates that are not in here particularly, we could ask them to be somewhere else, not necessarily in a room where they can listen to the...
If you shut that door, you can't hear it.
But if you go anywhere, you can hear.
Yeah.
Upstairs? They have it on upstairs too, I think.
gone into the assessor's office.
Maybe downstairs, though?
I don't think Donna listens, does Gilbert?
Gilbert's office.
He's not here.
He's not here?
Yeah. So downstairs would be good.
Would you escort him? I'm just kidding.
There's that open area, and there's a table there and a couple chairs.
I feel like breaking it down.
Yeah.
One of the nice things too is I think you're right, there's gonna be probably the same question asked multiple times here, and that might alleviate some of that.
Which I'd like to also address, Mr. Chairman, is I've got about 6 questions. I don't know did anybody else come up with questions?
Yeah, I got 5 or 6.
Good 4.
So if each one of us could just take a chance. What is in this? Anyway, take our turn and work our way down. There may become a point in a time limit that same question, but the generalization will still be there. I mean, I think that's what we're after. If that's applicable.
I'm okay with that.
Mr. Chair, is everyone here comfortable with that suggestion? Okay.
Sure.
I do have one weird caveat. there is one rule that, and I'm assuming everybody's perfectly fine on this, but before we start the process, I would assume it's okay me asking this, but can you legally hold the office? I need to know that the individuals that we're putting up for vote are legal, can legally hold the office, and can also legally be a notary, which probably leads along the lines is, have you committed a felony of some sort that would prevent that?
Fine.
We're all good? Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Mike, you're up.
Okay.
Tricia, we'll do you next.
Jason, handcuffs are not required to escort.
Yeah, I think a brief, I thought it was nice. They did a 5-minute opener at the precinct interview, so if, should we do something like that? A 5-minute opener, and then we can delve into our question?
Mr. Chairman, I think it's good. Not everybody was at that meeting. And I
Yeah.
think they need to know some of the information that we learned.
Yeah. Everybody okay with that? If you'd like, I guess I could probably time the 5-minute deal. I won't interrupt you. You go ahead and, you don't need it all, don't use it all.
I shall, I'll use it all,
Okay.
because most of you know me.
Yeah. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, basically, I think I have the necessary qualifications, the primary ones being, I was an election judge here for probably 18 years, the senior election judge for, specifically for Newcastle for at least 8 of those years. So I'm pretty familiar with the election process. And we have not, in my tenure since 2004, done hand counting. I'll put that out there, so you actually know that. My basic attitude is that the clerk's position is not a political position and should not be. I also believe that the clerk's position is one that is primarily a service organization because it contains all of the information that's critical to the county. And so the people that need that need it. I also tend to be very strongly for open information. In other words, everything that we can legally put online, I want to put out there. That's my position. Obviously, that has to be worked within possibly other constraints, but that's basically my position. I like things open. The information that has to be kept restricted certainly has to be kept restricted, not a problem. In terms of my intent, I don't look for scapegoats. I'm not interested in assigning blame. I genuinely believe that if we don't have a team effort, it's not going to succeed. So that my goal would be to work with everybody, not only in the clerk's organization, you guys, but anybody else that's associated, which is pretty much the whole county. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from. If you want me to go into my technical background, I'll be happy to. I do have a lot of professional training. For things I think that apply to the county would be, I am a professional technical writer. And so I'm able to document for the most part. Secondarily, for the last 6 years, I've been working very heavily with the legislature and a number of the legislators. And I was asked one question that my answer was no, I won't tell you on. I'll bring that up deliberately. I will not tell you the content of the information that I worked with, but I'm not a political consultant and did not do any work like that. I was more a research consultant. But obviously that is the various legislators that I worked with, if they want to tell you what I did, I'm more than happy to tell you. But I think that's somewhat proprietary to them and what they were doing. None of it that I know of is particularly controversial. It's just getting enough information for them to make decisions on stuff that was pertinent to them. I'm open for questions.
Thank you, sir. Would you like to start down there? or-
Go ahead and we'll work our way.
Down here? Okay.
Can you repeat the question you already asked me?
Yeah, no, not that lucky today. So mine are more going to be along the lines of clerk duties. Just some knowledge that you may have in those regards. I don't think I'm throwing any trick things out there, but do you have any grant training or training that would be beneficial in how to work with, manage, and/or write any grants?
Not specifically, but I have written, and a lot of my work has been with DoD. Matter of fact, I've worked with the Department of Defense for over 50 years. And a lot of that is government contracts. And they're similar in nature, but they are different. I don't think it would be much of a stretch to learn the particular formats and the types of questions that are necessary for grants. Because the government all works basically the same. But no, I'm not directly a grant writer.
Okay. Go ahead.
My questions are more related to day-to-day activities. Do you have any knowledge on how the liquor licenses are issued, revoked, or transferred?
No, I do not.
After today's meeting, you can see that some of these topics might can get pretty heated. How would you say your operational skills under pressure are?
Well, I've gone from literally man-killing pressure, not joking, to pretty much day-to-day. That actually probably is more difficult because it gets boring and people start looking for things to not be bored with. But all joking and teasing aside, pressure is something that builds. You normally can see it happening. I believe in working with people. Those of you who know me better than others know that I pretty much work behind the scenes, not because it's secret or anything like that, but I tend to try to go to the people where there is an issue and work it out. I'm far more interested in finding solutions to problems than winning a battle. Winning battles doesn't buy you anything. You know, you have to be able to work with people, and I'm pretty good, and I don't have false modesty, but to get anything accomplished, you've got to have a team. And so you've got to work with people in a team now.
Honestly, are you or were you planning on running for this office before this vacancy came up?
That depends. If you guys select me, the answer is yes. If you don't, then no. And the reason there would be a no, I don't believe that it's fair to take somebody that's spent a year in the cauldron and go run against them. I think that whoever gets this job should run on their own.
Did you have interest in running for this before this happened?
Define this.
Before there was a vacancy?
No, I did not. Vera, this to me is, this county's given both my wife and I, and she passed last year, given us a lot. And I put this under the heading of community service. Because quite bluntly, I don't need the money. I probably make more on my investments than you're going to pay me. I don't want your all of the various benefits that you get, because I probably already have better benefits. I don't need retirement, I'm already there. So part of my goal would be, in that sense, to minimize the cost. So I'll take the minimum that the law requires me to take in terms of compensation. And part of that is just being selfish, because if I can do that and save enough budget, then I can get more money that I can pour into the department.
Thank you. Can you name, actually I'm gonna jump to this one. Because you watched it today. Can you tell me, and you observed what we were doing, can you tell me what you know about the system that we just did with those yellow pieces of paper? It's the voucher system?
A little bit. You actually explained it to me a couple of years ago. So I'm somewhat familiar with it. Do I really understand it? Not until I get hands-on. I'm a fairly quick learner. I am used to systems and processes and policies and that sort of thing. Matter of fact, I think that's how the effective government offices work. So I would definitely endeavor to, first of all, prioritize the ones that are most critical. And going there, I got to have a little bit of a side trip. Getting the election taken care of is number one priority from my point of view. And then after that, it's what do we need to do within the clerk's office. It would be foolish to run in and say, hey, I'm going to make all kinds of changes and do all kinds of stuff. That doesn't work. I have no intentions of doing that.
When life gets tough, you don't have to face it alone. Call 988 for confidential, free support 24/7.
So I do want to learn the existing processes, voucher system being one of them. There's a whole bunch of others. To me, it's very critical to know what the structure is. I want to know what software is used, how it, I mean, I've tried to find out in the past, as an example, a software catalog, like what software is used, what licenses are there, what tools do you actually use? Because if you're dealing with data, and I am a data professional, if you're dealing with data, it all interconnects. So what are the interconnections? And to me, it's critical that in the clerk's position, that I make it easier for everybody to work together to get the information they need.
Thank you.
Got a funnel. Any idea how long? Stan brought it up in the interview process. He was amazed that people are still getting married. Any idea how long if you hand a marriage license to an individual, how long is that valid for?
How long? I have no idea.
Okay. Fair enough. It is kind of.
What's the guy? I'm going to be honest with you guys.
Yeah, it's a learning thing, so, which might fall into other questions.
Do you have any knowledge of like how, I'm not specific, but on the general principle of how our clerk decides how to go about the mill levies that we receive as a county?
Not specifically, although I do have a very strong background in accounting and business.
Okay.
As an example, I shouldn't bring this up, but I will. In my younger days, I wrote one of the first budget systems for the Department of Defense, which is a nasty one, because there's so much that has to come together. But it's all, the principles are the same, it just happens to be bigger. And I'm looking forward to see how those things are done. That's the middle of my wheelhouse.
I guess it's probably going to be a lot of the same process, just change the name.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
that kind of thing.
The relationships are still the same.
Yeah. Okay.
One of the main tasks of the clerk is to head off the election, and knowing what you know about Weston County in recent past with elections and concerns about how ballots are tallied, are you willing to accept that challenge of very instant performance in that category?
If it wasn't, I wouldn't be here. That's the short answer. The long answer is the fact that I know the operational requirements of it. I do not know what's actually done in the clerk's office. And a further answer that sort of you alluded to, I personally do not have a druther on whether we use machines or whether we do hand counting. To me, the critical criteria is, do we have an honest and effective election? And oh, by the way, can we sell that to the people here in Weston County? Because the biggest thing that I see, and one thing I will agree with a lot of the speakers, is the fact that we have a credibility gap. That's got to be addressed. So it's not just an election, it's also the credibility.
In that job, the elections are a big part of it, but the daily work and the courthouse life is going to be the majority of the time you were there. How do you feel like you're going to deal with the public? And have you had experience dealing with the public in that kind of area? And internally with your employees, you know, this is a difficult time for them also. How do you feel like you're going to deal with that? Two
Okay.
questions there, I
I've
guess.
only got 10 questions, but that's all right.
Sorry.
In general, my philosophy is to work with the people that are there. I'm not telling you that I wouldn't make any changes, that would be foolish, but they have to be made carefully and they have to be made for a reason. I do not believe in just dumping people. That doesn't work. You need to find out what's going on. They're going to be teaching me a lot. And the only way that I can learn is to get their confidence as well. It's a two-way street. So basically, I will support the people until they prove that that doesn't work. And I'm not looking for that to be the solution. I'm looking for the solution to be able to work with them, to learn, to frankly make their job easier, and where possible, make it where they also have a way to grow and find out what they want to do. At this point in time, I have no agenda going into this job, other than first of all, let's get a good election. And second of all, let's make it as transparent to the people of Weston County as possible.
Have you dealt with the modern public in any way, shape, or form? Because they are different these days. I mean, people are not patient. People are not nice when they come into the
I
office.
have a
I'm
pretty
sure
thick
that
skin.
Amber can tell you that,
I have
attest
a
to
pretty
that.
thick skin. I don't get angry easily.
Well,
I won't say it's impossible, because I do have a temper, but I try very hard not to let it happen.
thank you.
So budget's coming up. Can you name 3 sources of revenue for the county's budget, and do you know how those numbers are obtained?
No, I do not. The 3 sources, legislature provides part of it. We have money from local taxes, specifically the property tax. We also have mill levies, but that's again basically taxes on local. Right now, because I have worked a lot with the legislature, it's in total turmoil. I mean, they have no clue what they're doing down there right now, to be honest with you. And so, to me, it's very critical that I keep that pipeline open, specifically because of the nature of it changing all the time. I'm trying to find out, okay, where are they going? You know, we've obviously got this 50% tax cut coming up. That'll be on the ballot for sure. And there are other things that will also be there. But there's legislation that's in process that got kicked out this time that will come back next year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Michael, have you read Article 4 of Title 18 for county clerks?
Yes, I have.
You have. So are you, I guess one of the things that's in fulfilling that role is, do you recall any like the requirements of the clerk's office for publishing in the legal newspapers?
It depends on what it is, but like the budget gets published, all the election stuff gets published. There's a number more there. The one that probably is the biggest driver is the public information requirement. So there's quite a bit of it that has to go out. It's not just restricted to newspapers. There's other methods that can be done.
Yeah. Do you, and you're aware that there's time frames associated with this requirement?
Definitely.
Okay.
Matter of fact, one of my goals would be to cut that time frame down as much as possible. I realize, as an example, you guys have the minutes come out. Well, in the past, they've been 3 or 4 months behind. Once they're approved, quite bluntly, I want them out the next day or as close to it as possible. So we start building back more confidence in the public. And frankly, we've got a good government here. I mean, you guys, I don't want to blow your minds, but you did a pretty good job. When I say that, the decisions make sense, and if people are actually here watching, you can understand why you did what you did. Well, I want to see that get published. One of the things I don't like, and I'm not sure all the parameters, I think we're using a third party right now to put stuff on the website. I want that internal, because we need control where we can decide. Now, if you call, if I walk into a meeting and you tell me we need this on the website, I want it there, like right now. And that kind of responsible return, I think, builds credibility. So that's one of my goals, is to speed that up. And I am a systems engineer, so I do have the ability to take a look at what we have and probably where we can go. That's also another thing here that you kind of bring up. There has to be a working relationship between the clerk's office and the commissioners, not just while you're here when you're in session, but to be able to look at, okay, where can we go reasonably? What we need to do to build that credibility for the community.
You just alluded on a little bit of my next question here, and Amber can attest it. If you had any experience taking in-depth minutes, that's something that's very critical.
Yes, but I'm terrible at it.
Okay, I agree. I understand that very well.
I do take, I take bullet minutes.
Okay.
My intent, quite frankly, is to have somebody come in and actually take the minutes while I'm still in here, for 2 reasons. One, we'll find somebody that does a better job of minutes than I do. And secondly, if I'm taking the minutes, I'm not really paying attention to the meeting. I'm paying attention to how do I get that information down. I'd rather be watching and observing and seeing what's going on. So if I don't have to worry about the actual physical taking of the minutes, then I can do that. So now you get a little more depth. Because obviously whoever takes the minutes I would be working with. And I'm hoping to get a quicker turnaround by doing it that way.
I think the desire for the position is probably going to hover around your service statement and your opening statement there, but why do you want the position?
I don't. I think it's necessary. I think I have the skills to do it. And I think it would be a challenge, and that I appreciate. But no, at my age, it's a thankless job. But it has to be done. I think I have the skills to do it. I don't look at this as a career. But I do feel that to do it responsibly, I've got to set it up so that whoever takes over from me can step into it and hit the ground running. That's one of my goals and objectives.
I guess my next thing isn't really a question for you. It's just kind of a statement that the position requires someone who, for you to think about, the position requires somebody who can really multitask. I think multitask more with people than with actual work. It's a lot of juggling with people all day long. And then you throw in us, and we're bugging you for things, and we all have different needs, and I didn't get this paper, and I need you to send this, and would you put this on the agenda? And all of us are doing that. The treasurers, you have a communication with the treasurer and work to do with the treasurer, and it's just a lot of communication skills and a lot of juggling people. Just so you know. Okay. Thank you.
I probably have done that since before you were born.
I bet these girls could show you a thing or two.
Oh, I'm sure they could show me a lot.
Okay, this is a more not necessarily it would work for any of these offices, but as a county clerk, you'll deal with sometimes very confidential information. So here's a what if. So say you're in a grocery store and you hear one of your employees maybe just say something of that. Could you tell me what steps you would take to maintain that confidentiality?
That's a two-pronged question. First of all,
Absolutely.
You've got the issue of the person doing it. And depending on the nature of the information, there's no choice but to step up immediately to them and right then and there say, hey, you can't talk about that. But there's a further question that's more difficult, and that is how do you make sure that the people that you have influence or even control over treat that information. I have high-level government clearances, and I have had for over 50 years. And I'm very accustomed to the policies and procedures of at least the federal government in dealing with classified information. And I don't see this as much different. It's not going to be as rigorous, frankly, as the federal government. Because the federal government, if I were to say something in this room right now, could literally put me in jail for 10 years and there's no trial.
Moderate Republicans their dislike for Freedom Caucus is enough that they'll actually vote for a Democrat. I mean, there is that potential.
Yeah, it's just because to me, and I watch all of these public meetings, and you don't see the moderates at the meetings.
No.
You don't see those people that sit on the middle of the fence at the meetings. They're not passionate enough about anything to show up to the meetings, to stand on a podium and say something. You have to be extremely passionate about politics to be willing to put yourself out there and to be judged in that sense. And I don't think you see the people that ride the middle of the fence doing that because they ride the middle of the fence. So they're like, I really don't care either way. It doesn't impact my life directly. I'm not planning on getting an abortion. So why do I care about what the abortion law is? Like, I don't own a bunch of land, so property tax doesn't hurt my feelings. Like, I think there's a lot of those people, the young people in Wyoming.
So I tend to treat proprietary / classified information very seriously.
So let me add on. So how would you parlay that into your employees?
Part of it's just simply making sure they understand what the rules are, what can and cannot be disseminated, and there's a lot of methods, and I'm not trying to avoid the question, but there's a lot of ways of talking about that. The best one, quite frankly, is just establishing policies and procedures, make sure they understand what they are in order to handle information. Because every kind of information is handled differently. There's not a black and white. This is classified, this is not. There's some grays in there because something that I could talk to the sheriff about, as an example, I can't talk maybe even to you. And so you have to be able to discern those different kinds of information. Obviously ones are like payroll stuff, except that if you're an elected official, the Open Knowledge Act, I forgot what it's called, but anyway, you could probably tell me, Michael. But there's got to be open information there on those kind of things. Like I know all of your guys' salary because I went and looked it up. Not because I was looking for your salaries, I was actually looking for who are all of the elected officials in Weston County. And it just showed up as one chunk, one file. But personnel information, things that are a little more gray would be like an executive board meeting or executive meeting. Some of that stuff is frankly open. A lot of it's not. And this is where I'm going to have to learn from you some of the things that you consider to be proprietary, which I may or may not either understand or care about. It doesn't matter. It's still what's the nature of it. So there's a whole plethora of levels there when you're talking about what I call classified information.
Thank you.
I'm running out of questions. I guess some of my questions, were referencing more into the position, I guess, Michael, which I think is fair.
Sure, absolutely.
For this job. So I guess, and incorporating them together in something out of you, I would look for is, like, if you're putting into this role, knowing the requirements that maybe come along with it, with the understanding of all your duties.
Yeah, I know what the Green Book says.
Yep, and all the requirements. But also with an election coming up, the budget coming up, I'm missing stuff. There's other things.
There's quite a few of them.
Yep.
A lot of reporting requirements.
Yep. How do you intend to rely on the staff that's in the current position right now? And what do you foresee other avenues to further your ability to fulfill that role?
Well,
sorry, that was long.
Okay, I have to look at that at about 3 different levels. As a systems engineer, and you may, I hate to use that term because it's used in many different ways, but basically, I tend to look at what are all the interconnections, first of all. What fits with what? Where are, you don't, like payroll, as an example. There's the payroll of the clerk's office. But my understanding is that the clerks are also responsible for payroll for the entire county. Okay, so you've got to be able to work with all of the other department leads and stuff, because they're going to be calling up and saying, well, hey, what's happened here? Maybe it's an individual, maybe it's a whole department. So you've got to be able to do that. So you've got to know what the interconnects are. In addition to that, there's 3 other people that are doing functions within the clerk's office. For the start, there's no way I can change that. I don't want to perturbate that because it's working right now. And I hate to say this old cliche, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And to me, there's a lot of learning that I have to do, and I don't want to perturbate the situation until I know enough to make a positive improvement to it. And that's going to take time. It's going to take more time this year because the election takes the priority, in my opinion. But you have to use the staff, and quite frankly, one of the first things I will do is talk with the staff and say, okay, what do I have to worry about first from your point of view? I don't know that, and the only way I can find out is rely on the staff to do that. And again, it's a team effort. And that's why, to me, you can't go in trying. Could I improve it? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on the time frame and depends on the subject. That's sort of a hit at it, but that's a deep question.
No, yeah, I know. You've got 3 different other personalities in there that you're going to have to try to, somebody's going to have to try to figure out how to manage that and the role itself.
Right.
And I know you understand this. You got this, but it's a question for everybody. Do you understand the confidentiality aspect of executive sessions?
Yes.
That was just a question for everybody. I had to be fair and ask everybody that question.
You mentioned earlier, Mike, that if you did receive this success position that you would consider running for, you would run for the clerk position, but if you did not, you would not. Can you elaborate on that a little?
Okay, I'm very busy now. There are a lot of things that I'm putting on the back burner to do this. That's how important I think this position is. I think we need, I'm very much for Weston County. I've lived here for 25 years, which I realize is a short period of time for somebody. I mean, for some of you lived here multi-generational. But I like this county, I like the people in it, and I believe that my skill sets and my experience will help me to be able to do this. Now, I only intend to run 1 term after this. I'm 81 years old, and my family, for good or bad, typically lives into their 90s. So it's not like I'm at the very end of my life. I'm not unless I do something, stupid.
Motorcycle ride.
Well, I'll definitely do that, but you have to take risks cautiously. But back to your question, really seriously, is that I'm a very strong believer in this county, and my interest is in not making a name for myself. I'm far more comfortable working in the shadows. The shadows, i.e., I make a lousy political candidate because I'm not interested in political acclaim. I'm far more interested in problem solving and taking care of issues like that. So, yeah, with the things that I know now, and that's only the tip of the iceberg, I can't possibly get everything done that I think should be done in 8 months. Can't be done. Not possible. So by definition, to do what needs to be done, I'm going to have to run for office. I do not intend to run a second term, but I do definitely intend. If I don't run, I can't tell you all the projects that I have lined up, like I said, to go in the back burner. So it's not like I don't have anything to do. My parents used to give me grief all the time because they wanted to know when Connie and I were going to retire. And I said, when the good Lord plants me. So I have no intentions of retiring. But Weston County and the clerk's job has a higher priority than anything else I'm going to do right now. And will, as long as I'm associated with it.
You already answered my next question, so go ahead.
Okay, I have another one of the what ifs. You were handed a document that has been requested to be recorded. In your purview of the document, you notice there are 2 different spellings of a name. What would you do?
That is another depends question. First of all, it depends on how serious it is, depends on how soon it needs to be recorded. There's a lot of recording technologies. It depends on what, is it digital? Is it hard copy? What media do you have? At the very least, I would scan it in and put it in a temporary holding place. And then, depending again on time frame of when it needs to be available, but by definition, if I've got to store it somewhere, there's an implication that somebody else may need to access it. All right. That being the case, then you got to go research it. You got to go find out. And it's not just names. There's a whole bunch of things that could happen. There may be a title that doesn't make sense. There could be something in the body, and I read pretty quickly, and I would scan the document regardless. Now, I may or may not remember it. But if I find discrepancies there, at the very least, I would notice what they are and note them down. And a lot of times, if it's a legal issue, I'm going to go bug Michael. If it's a issue of, let's say you guys did a resolution, all right? If I don't understand it, I'm going to come ask you, because I'm going to probably get asked about that. And one of the things that I would like to do, going back down another rabbit hole, is I think the resolutions right now, they're out there effectively in PDF format. It'd be a lot nicer if we could have a way of coming in and say, we've had resolutions on the library. Okay, I'd like to pull them all up. Library, bring it up. So I would like to work toward that kind of information retrieval.
Thank you.
Michael, that's some guidance from you, I guess. This is a I guess a weird spot. I have a question, and the only reason I want to ask it is, you mentioned your age, but this is a political position. This isn't a position of employment. I mean, would you be walking any fine line there of a problematic question regarding age? Of me asking a question, I mean, can I ask you if the question is okay without?
You have my total permission.
Yeah, I wouldn't go there, but
Well, if you want to discuss my age, be my guest. You have my permission.
I guess, without discussing your age, sometimes this job requires you to be here until midnight. And then back at 6 in the morning. Do you think that would be?
I don't know, I'd probably cut down my hours a little bit. I typically work 80-hour weeks now.
Okay.
Because I do have a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
Again, it's the deliberate choice to look at this forced me to say, okay, I have my own corporation. I've had my own corporation since 1990. Fortunately, I'm in a position where my clients are DOD clients. There will be times when I'll say, I have no choice, I have to go to a meeting. That happens about, once every other year. I have to go back, because I'm a resource to the DOD community in certain areas. And I will get called on and will end up flying back to the Pentagon and doing a briefing or whatever and coming back. That's usually a 1 to 3 day thing. That happens, the last time that happened was 2 years ago. So I'm kind of on call. That sort of thing, I can't get rid of those contracts because they're in perpetuity. Other than that, I don't take any more contracts. I'm not trying to build my company. We already built it, and now we built it down. When Connie got sick, we deliberately backed off and said, okay, we don't want to do that. And the reason I make that statement is that I deliberately moved my priorities around where I could, in my own mind, not with you guys, but my own mind, that I could make the clerk's job the highest priority job. And that's my position right now. I don't see that changing. I'm pretty stubborn. Once I commit to something, I typically commit to it.
I don't have any more.
I ran out of questions.
I got one last one. To your knowledge, Michael, would you have any conflict of interest in accepting this position?
Not that I'm aware of. The only possible one I just mentioned, which is I do have ongoing periodic contracts with DOD that I have to do. I have no choice there. But that's very rare. And usually I've got a week or two advance knowledge. So I can set up and prepare to be able to do that.
This place is full of, you can tell the people that like to be with old people because they really take care of you good and are very kind.
Twice a day, every day, the activities people have an organized activity that's always interesting.
Everybody loves to play bingo. We play it 3 times a week here. We also have ceramics that you can paint. Really pleasant to live here. It's a good place to be.
Okay. I've got mine done.
You guys are easy.
We're pretty too. So.
I'm afraid of Ted. I'm not going to go there.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Can I go out in the hall now?
Yeah. We won't even force you into the basement.
You want me to get the next one, or you guys know?
Patricia, please.
Patricia.
Patricia.
Would you mind? Sure. Michael, I appreciate it. Thank you. What's that?
I could have ran down there.
Let's see if the elevator's still working.
Minutes have never been 3 to 4 months behind. That's against the law.
Well, that's right.
They're all published at least 2 weeks after.
Okay, thank
My yawn, I should do it.
Tricia,
Hello.
because Garrett and Vera weren't at the deal there on Saturday, and I thought that went pretty well. I think you were in here when we decided to do a little 5-minute thing similar to introductory thing for you.
Okay.
And they didn't get to hear your spiel on Saturday, so
That sounds good.
I'll just set a timer whenever you're ready, and then we'll jump into a round of questions. We'll just all ask you until we run out.
Well, I'll tell you what. I brought a statement for today that's probably like a minute and a half. But I also brought the presentation I made Saturday, and I know you probably don't have that. So I would. Do you need one?
I have
one. You have one.
Thank
you. You have one. Thank you.
Yeah, that way you can refer to it at some point.
And I also brought a resume, and at the end, some of you already have it. So,
You good?
I'm good. I read it. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate bringing in the.
Yeah, thank you. I'm fully cognizant, you could have started, I'm sorry.
Yep, go.
You could have started when I was handing out papers. I'm fully cognizant that at this time, the interim clerk position, whoever gets that is gonna have to put full resource behind the 2026 election preparations. Many people, not only in this county, but in the whole state of Wyoming, are gonna have their eyes on Weston County, whether we like it or not. As head official, I will follow the law to ensure that every legal vote is accurately counted and that the audits are done completely. At the same time, it's extremely important to me that the other duties of the office are not neglected by the interim clerk. I'm sure I don't know everything that goes on in there, but warrants, titles, licenses, abstracts, records, payroll, budgets, minutes and records for the commissioners, that's all really vital to the county. And those duties must not be entirely delegated to the current staff. Because interim or not, the buck stops with the head clerk. Thankfully, the staff in the clerk's office right now is experienced and knowledgeable, proficient, and dedicated. And it would be really difficult for anyone to step into this spot if that were not true. This temporary position is going to be a dance of multitasking, organization, delegation, verification, and calm human relations. As a civic duty, I would step up, drop everything that I'm doing, and keep the ship upright until fall, when the people can elect a full-term clerk, whether that be me or not. And that's the end of my statement. So you can do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're all. Okay.
Yeah.
Should I start again?
Yep, absolutely, you will.
Looked good last time.
All right.
I'm lying.
Tricia, do you have any grant training or grant experience as far as running grants or operating within requirements of grants, or even writing grants that you would
I do.
Okay.
I do have a college degree. If that helps, I mean, I'm educated. I think I should
I'm aware.
be
Yeah.
educated to do that.
Thank you.
Do you have any knowledge on how liquor licenses are issued, renewed, or revoked?
No, I have an assumption.
Okay.
that it's up to the commissioners, and the clerk does the licensing or the revoking on your behalf. Is that true?
Pretty close.
Okay.
There's a lot of other behind the scenes stuff the
Okay.
clerk does with it, but yeah, it comes, you got the general gist of
Okay.
it.
As in our meeting today, we regularly have topics that create heat, like what you mentioned in your letter of interest.
Right.
What are your abilities to operate under pressure?
I've had a lot of leadership roles in my life ever since I was young. Starting with like student body president in high school. I was a teacher and an athletic director and the president of the National Electric Federation for a state. And I was a coal mine dispatcher at the coal mine, interim for that. And through all that, I met people who are maybe what you would consider volatile. And I found the best way to deal with that is to listen to the words of the person. If there's a confrontation or volatility, you listen to their words and you disregard their behavior, because a lot of times they're just on dopamine. I mean, you know, and their words are actually good. And once they're done with maybe a tirade, you direct your response to their words that you were listening. And it like brings the whole heat down a lot, instead of saying you're out of control, you know. But really, I think if you hear people and respond to their concerns.
Dan?
Are you, or were you planning on, before this opening, were you planning on running for this office before this?
Yes. I actually have started gathering signatures since the clerk's office approved my paperwork, I think, in February, because I'm a nonpartisan, registered nonpartisan. And so I have to get, I think it was like 67 signatures to be on the November ballot. And I've already gathered some of those.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a commissioner clerk type question for you, but can you tell me what you know about the voucher system that we do every first of the month?
I got kind of a fun one for you, because again, I asked Michael this, but Stan brought it up, and I kind of chuckled when he brought it up about being surprised how many marriages still happen. But just any idea, I assume you've read these duties of a clerk and some of the responsibilities, but if you were, and part of the reason I ask this is because there's pertinent reasons to know things, but around something as silly as any idea how long a marriage license would be valid for from the date of filing for one, maybe?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have you know how the clerk figures out the mill levy that the county charges? Any knowledge on how that process evolves and what it entails?
So when I prepared for your questions, I did not expect this. As you can most likely tell.
That's how good we are.
I like sat around like, what can they ask me? What can they ask me? So no, I'm not going to be able to answer that kind of question, because even it's hard to go look into Title 18 and learn that.
Yeah.
It's not there.
Oh, I totally understand.
Yeah, and so then, you know, I thought about like calling Amber and saying, you know, what's this, and I'm like, well, that's really inappropriate because I'm one of the candidates and I don't, you know, you can't do that. And so I've read the statute and I've read the election code twice now in the last 2 weeks. And if I got this position, this lady would be imperative in the office as imperative as she is now, well, I got my feet under me. for her.
I totally understand. Just
Mhm.
my question is kind of related to a lot of the day-to-day stuff.
Okay, understood.
The subject to just boring job
Yes.
stuff. You know, not the fame and the glory and the fun stuff. just
Right,
the
well, and as I
mundane
mentioned,
things.
those duties of the office, as I mentioned, I don't want to just delegate all that to the current staff. I don't want to be like, I'm going to run the election and the staff's going to do all the real work, you know, basically. I don't see it that way. I do want to learn. I actually want to prop up the people in that office and have them at some point, even this year, run for the office. I want this office to function good, well, perfectly, legally.
A major task that the clerk's position undertakes is heading off the election with the recent history in Weston County with multiple different topics. How do you plan on tackling this year's election as being the interim clerk?
Okay. I think the biggest thing is to bring in people who've been involved with it before, which would include the deputy clerk, which would include judges. I'm talking people like Susan Love who know things. I'm talking about the two parties. I know, you know, they're involved, and I would need that support from them. Like they're going to come in and say, "You have to do this." Well, I'm not going to be like, "Okay, I'll do that." I'm going to need some input to help me, because the deadlines have already started. Like, where are we and what needs done? And then I'm going to verify that that's actually what needs done. And then make sure that it gets done. So I know, like, the 21st, like Stan mentioned, is the deadline for judges for the parties. I'm willing to hit the ground running, I guess, and have people tell me what they think needs done and verify it quickly and get it done correctly.
So the election's a big important part of the job, but daily work in the courthouse life is going to be seemingly the majority of it when it comes down to it. How would you deal with the public, since they're not always all nice these days, and internally with other employees, since the clerk's office seems to be connected in one way or another with all the other offices because they're payroll and they take care of insurance and they deal with us but they do vouchers, so there's communication between that office and everyone else.
When life gets tough, you don't have to face it alone. Call 988 for confidential, free support 24/7.
How do you feel like you would be able to deal with all the different relationships and with the public?
I guess in a sort of libertarian sort of way, I'm a live and let live, so I think I handle most people quite well because I don't judge them. I don't have high expectations, and I let them be who they are. Like I said, with the volatile person, you know, and try to listen to what their concerns are and deal with it. I mean, as a head clerk, there's a lot of that office is run by statutes. So a lot of the concerns can be solved by statutes. But if it's a personal confrontation, it's hard to answer that. It's just, I'm not a volatile person. And I really try to listen to what's going on, and I really try to find a solution or a compromise. I mean, if there was like an employee who did something really horrible, that maybe there's not a compromise or a solution. But as a member of the public, this is their house, and they come in and they can act whatever way they want to. And if it's a title they're after, again, you ignore the behavior and you listen to their words and you try to get where you need to be with that person.
Thank you.
Can you name me 3 sources of revenue for the county's budget, and do you know where those numbers are obtained?
Where the numbers are obtained?
Or how?
So, taxes, licenses, and the state provides the money. I'm not quite sure what you mean by how they're obtained. Like there's certain state funds we put in for, or that are automatic.
When you do a budget, you have revenues and you have expenditures.
Right.
So you have a source of finding what your estimated revenues will be. And what I'm asking is if you know what some of those sources are.
Okay. I would go with taxes, licenses, and the state.
Okay. Thank you.
Tricia, I guess I know this is another one of those questions, but I'm leading to something with it.
Okay.
Advertising, do you have any familiarity with the roles that's required of this office when it comes to advertising? Maybe what's advertised, and if there's time frames, anything like that?
I can't off the top of my head, but that was in the statutes.
Yeah.
And so I can't off the top of my head remember them all. I do plan on leaning on looking things up a lot, but I know like that you have to advertise before a special meeting of the commissioners a certain amount of time. But that was pretty quick, like 48 hours or something that you have to give notice. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I mean there's rules to a lot of them. You have your meetings, your special meetings, your minutes, and there's timelines associated with all of them.
Understood. Yep.
Have you had any experience in taking in-depth minutes?
Yes.
That's very critical. Yeah.
I do have experience there, and that was from when I was the National Wild Turkey Federation in South Dakota. I started out as a chapter president and then worked my way up onto the state board, and I started as the treasurer, and then I became the secretary, took the minutes, and then I became the president of that. And Robert's Rules of Order were paramount in those meetings.
Probably my most basic but most important question is, why do you desire this position?
I feel like it's something that I can give as a civic duty. I've never served in the armed forces. People can serve their country that way. And I just, I got involved in politics not that long ago. I've maybe been in politics for 8 years, paying really attention to what's going on. And I just feel like I could step into this spot and make a whole lot of people happier and make a whole lot of things better. I'm a multitasker. They chose me for that dispatcher at the mine, and that was a huge job. I had like 4 screens in front of me and coal mine trucks running around everywhere, and there was dirt trucks and coal trucks, and you have to keep the shovels covered, and you have to keep the coal gets mixed. There's different kinds of coal. You have to put the right mix into have them dumped in the right order. If there's roads on there, and if one would have a problem, like a cave-in or something, I have to reroute the trucks. And it was like a jump from one thing to another. And then, of course, I think it's because I can multitask, and I'm kind of a bulldog when I go into something. I want to get it done. I want to get it done right. when I choose to do something, I'm not someone who, I might have been at a point in my life, someone who jumped on every bandwagon and wanted to be involved in everything, but now I'm in my old age here, I try to use more discernment, you know. The last thing I chose was the county lines as district lines. And I bulldogged it through to where I got to make a presentation with William of what I thought a solution to that would be. And I would do the same in here. And it's not like bulldogging people. It's bulldogging, finding what needs fixed and making it better. Mm-hmm.
You kind of answered this already. There's a lot of multitasking and a lot of communication between people, between all the offices and us. How do you think you would handle that? Do you think you could handle that without getting too stressed?
Yeah, I would not get stressed. And if I'm going to brag about myself at all, it would be probably writing things, writing letters, researching, documenting. No, that doesn't scare me.
Thank you. Okay, I have a scenario for you. As a county clerk, you will deal with a lot of confidential, sometimes pretty confidential information. Suppose that you are in a grocery store and across the aisle you hear one of your employees. I don't necessarily want to say leak that information, but dispel it or say something. Could you walk me through the steps you would take to maintain that confidentiality?
To maintain it?
I gave you the scenario of what happened, and then, so it's kind of a two-part question. What would you do with the first part? What would you do with the second? And then maybe before the other one, whichever.
Mm-hmm. So I'm in a grocery store and I hear one of my staff talking to someone and they impart confidential information.
Correct.
I would walk up to him immediately and pretend I didn't hear and get the conversation stopped and start talking about the ICT in China and get the conversation stopped. Then when the other person is somehow removed from the situation, I would explain to them what they've done and that it's not a small deal and that it's going to have to get dealt with. And it depends on what time of day it is. I'll assume it's after work. I'd probably set up a meeting with them that next morning and we would talk about it. And then I think it would probably have to be imparted. I don't know how procedure works, whether a clerk can ask for an executive session for the commissioners, but maybe the chairman of the commission would need to be brought in. That's what I would do. I would talk to Nate and I'd say, what's the next step?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So Patricia, I guess the reasoning for some of my questions was just to gain an understanding of, I don't think anybody's going to answer those well. So if you were selected for this position, what do you feel you potentially would require for training to accomplish the role? And do you know of any avenues that you may be able to reach out to externally? And how much also would you think you would probably rely on the current workforce that's in the office?
I would hope to rely on the current workforce a lot. But I don't, like I said in my opening statement, these duties should not be delegated to that staff just because they know what they do. And training-wise, nothing that would cost money or take me away to somewhere, a training session. I would hope that most of my training would come from the staff And like I said, I've got to a point in my life where if Amber tells me this is what you have to do, or this is what needs done by this time, I need to see it. I need to see it in the statute. I need to verify it. It's going to be the same thing with the election. But it's not that I won't trust her. It's just that I think some fresh eyes need to go into that office, and absolutely every detail needs to be looked at. And it may be running perfectly at this moment. It could be running perfectly at this moment, but I am not only going to get trained, I'm going to verify my training. To reach out to someone, probably just with the elections, everyone who's been involved in elections, the Michael Tumans, the Susan Loves of the world, Carrie Gross, the Democrat leader, and also you guys. I mean, I'm sure going to have questions, and I'm going to reach out to anybody who's available, I guess.
Here, real easy one. My final question. Do you understand the confidentiality aspect of executive sessions?
Pretty well. I know that minutes are taken in there, and then I'm assuming those are filed somewhere that public can't access, and that I would not be able to even speak about what went on in there.
Exactly.
To your knowledge, would you have any conflicts of interest in accepting this interim position?
No. And I'm not a felon.
What would you say your computer skills are like overall?
I'm not a computer guru. I'm good with computers, and there's different systems, and I don't know which system's in this office, so I would have to learn the system. Again, I'm capable of that. It's like that coal mine dispatch job was like, here's your 4 screens and here's your system, and I had it down, pretty good in a week, and was on my own dispatching. So, but I'm no guru. And I like to learn. There's some things in the clerk's office that like I needed, like a map or something a few years ago, and it was like they couldn't really provide it very well, and I'd like to fix that if it's possible to make that easier for the public.
Thank you.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
Okay, you are handed a document that has been requested to be recorded, and you notice 2 different spellings of a name. What would you do?
So within the document, it seems they are speaking about the same person in the document, but it's spelled 2 different ways. Well, I'm not a legal advisor. That's probably not my business.
Thank you.
I have one follow-up. This may require this position a lot, not all the time, but you will have late nights and early mornings. I just want to know if that's something you're prepared for.
Why am I having late nights and early
Election
nights?
nights, there's going to be times where you may be up dealing with something till midnight.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I have a really good adrenaline when there's something going on and it's done.
Okay.
My list is done.
Oh,
That was all I have.
Mine is too.
I guess, do I have a minute?
Sure.
You know, it's been made plain to me here that there's a whole lot of things, and I think I knew that a whole lot of things I need to learn. This is different than a full-term clerk coming in. This is an interim position, temporary, and I have no intention of turning the place upside down. The staff stays unless there's something outrageous that would get discussed with the commissioners. I'm not here to turn stuff upside down and take over, and I guess, does that make sense? I just want to allay any fears. I would be calm and just observant, and if I see something that I think is against statute going on, I'm not gonna throw a fit and turn tables over, and it's gonna be approached professionally. And I do really appreciate the staff that's in there right now, because they're running the show right now, and they have been, and the courthouse is still going. I mean, that instills a lot of confidence in me, and hopefully they would come to accept me, at least, just for this 6 months. And we can work together and make it a very happy place.
Thank you very much.
Patricia.
Thank you.
Patricia, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Michael, do you think there's any opportunity for private deliberation in this situation? Or do you think it's all?
I think it's all public meeting stuff. So.
I don't know.
Oh, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Just living the dream. Everybody's living the dream with me.
And we did something similar to what happened Saturday, and we're just going to give you an opportunity to. I don't think you used your 5 minutes Saturday, but if you'd like to do a short, I'll start the timer just in case you decide to get lengthy, but give yourself an opportunity to do whatever you feel you want to express to the board, and then we'll just do a round of questions, and shouldn't be too long and too painful.
Thank you. So, 3 of you were there Saturday, so you pretty much heard everything I said. So what I'll just do, and I'll take a minute or two, is read my bio for the people that weren't there. I have copies of them. So, in view of the urgent need to rebuild trust in the Weston County Clerk's office, I, Stanley Jasinski, submit my resume below for your consideration. For many years of experience of interacting with the members of our community in various civic duties has prepared me well to serve as your Weston County Clerk. Graduate Northampton High School 1973, honor graduate United States Air Force Specialist Security Specialist Academy 1978, and honor graduate Massachusetts Fire Academy 1983. The achievements I'm most proud of are my years of service to our country and community. 4 years of service in the United States Air Force as a security police specialist, time served in the Massachusetts Air Force Reserves as a firefighter, 23 years of service to my community as a firefighter, now retired, As president of the Northampton Firefighters Union Local 108 for 10 years leading up to my retirement. Secretary for the Weston County Republican Party, election judge 2024 election, poll watcher 2022 election, ran for Weston County School District #1 School Board, and precinct committee man in 2022. Founder and chairman of the Weston County Freedom Festival and 9/11 Memorial Committee. In these jobs, positions, I have been a leader, teacher, mentor, and advocate for those under my leadership. I learned how to serve, put the mission and others above myself, prioritize what is most important, negotiate contracts, mediate grievances, maintain meetings, minutes, and records. The importance of accuracy, transparency, and integrity in our electoral process, and have sworn to defend and protect our U.S. Constitution. I will leverage these skills and life principles to rebuild the trust and reputation of the clerk's office that it deserves and that our community needs. I will do this by implementing great leadership qualities, excellent attention to all clerk's responsibilities, and maintaining the highest standards of integrity. My track record of service to Weston County proves that I can deliver. With that, I guess I'll open myself up to questions.
Sure. Stan, do you have any experience with writing grants or an understanding of how grants work, like a percentage match, and how to manage grants personally?
I guess I've never written grants, but I know that there's some grants are written where either the state will match some of the grant or the federal government will match some of the grant. You obviously have to put a detailed application outlining everything that you want to do and what you're applying to do with this grant. And I think a lot of people, including the city of Newcastle, hired a grant writer for that. So a lot of people have a hard time with that, but I can manage it. And so.
Do you have any knowledge on how liquor licenses are issued, renewed, or revoked?
I know that they're issued, in other words, you got businesses that have liquor licenses. If for whatever reason one of those businesses go out of business, type thing, then that liquor license becomes available, and people could apply to obtain that liquor license. And it's done here in the county commissioners, but it's the county clerk that issues those licenses.
As you might have noticed from a couple topics that were brought up in the commissioners meeting today, things can get somewhat heated. What is your ability to operate, or how are your skills to operate under pressure?
Actually, I perform really well under pressure. That's where I perform best. I've been trained. I was actually in the military. I worked at a prior EA nuclear resource air base, and I was one of the base negotiators. If there was ever a nuclear weapon taken hostage or a person taken hostage, I was one of 3 people that would be called. As president of a union, I was involved with mediation. Right in the process, I dealt with grievances, formal grievances that might have led to mediations, and I try to prevent stuff like that. I'm a bottom-up government guy. In other words, anything that I could handle in-house would be handled in-house. If I couldn't handle it in-house and pertaining to the county clerk's job, I'm not pointing it. I'm pointing at the guns. Then I would get counsel with the attorney, our county attorney, the board of commissioners, and if together we couldn't figure it out, then we'd find out where to go from there to find out. But I'm actually really good at mediating problems.
Stan, before this opening came up, Were you planning on running for this office?
I'd have to say no. I mean, the open didn't come up, there wouldn't be any reason why I'm for it. Well, no, that's not true. No, I wasn't.
Okay, you've witnessed it for quite a while. Can you tell me what you know about the voucher system?
Payroll vouchers that you sign like today for now. I know that different department heads submit their expense vouchers, and the county commissioners on the first Tuesday of every month. Well, I think they submit it to the county clerk. I'm not sure, but anyway, you go through them. You got one expense voucher, but I think there's multiple expenses on that one voucher for different things, and so they put in requests or submit vouchers for expenses, and the county commissioners go through those vouchers. Sometimes they pull because they have questions. So that's expense vouchers, and there's payroll vouchers.
Thank you.
And I believe you've read Article 4 of the county clerks, and the reason I believe you read that is because you inspired me to ask this question, and I've asked it to the two others that were in here. You stated Saturday that you were surprised at how many people get married, or that there was something to do with marriage certificates.
Yes, I said it'd be great. I'd love to see a issue marriage licenses.
When you were reading that, there's some reasonings and some requirements along with those marriage licenses. Do you remember any of them? And one of those that I'd asked the other two is the marriage certificate is good for a certain time frame. Once it's disseminated. Do you recall that at all by chance? Off the top of your head?
No.
Okay. It's.
I imagine they got to act on it.
Yeah.
Or it expires, and then if they act on it and it's expired, there might be a lot of trouble. It'd be great. Like I said, I'd have a picture board up there with our newest blissful couple. And it'll be the blissful.
Do you know how the clerk figures out the mill levies that are assessed, or how the numbers are achieved? Any idea of how the clerk comes up with those numbers for our budget?
Not exactly.
Okay. That's very good. I mean, it's pretty
The levies had me baffled for quite a while, But
they baffle about 95% of our state.
Yeah. But I'm sure there's a structure where I can look at it.
Yeah.
An important duty of the county clerk is to head off the election. Stan, what is your approach on the front side to tackle this year's election with current history of Weston County's elections?
Well, with whatever election process is in place, my job would be to make sure that they're most accurate and secure elections. I would, I said Saturday, I'd love to see the county clerk's office get more involved in registering voters. Matter of fact, I put a sign out there, register to vote, right here, on the front lawn, starting maybe September, June, July, So all I can say is I would do due diligence and make sure to check every boxes and rely on the rest of the county clerks, deputy clerks, to make sure that we have a fair and free election.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
Again, whether it's hand counting or whether it's the machines that I would work with. And I have, like I said, I have watched multiple machine testing, and I've witnessed it, and I have a reasonable understanding of what is done during that time, what to look for during that time. I know that ballots have to be proofread, or they got you got to send in. If we're using machines, ES&S sends you a test deck. You got to verify that test deck. Ballots have to be printed, obviously, and all that in a timely manner. The majority party submits a list of election judges to the county clerk and that has to be done May 20th or 21st of this month. And then there's poll watchers, and they should be trained. So I make sure that the people that are considered for poll watchers and election judge get. I think the election judge training is a little bit light. And so I would see if I could expand on that, make it a little more in depth. The process of it's very complicated, actually, when you're dealing with when you're dealing with machines, there's a lot to know, and I'm not advocating here, believe me, I'm not, but it's just the truth, There's it takes a real tech side of knowledge of how they work. What when you do an actual logic and accuracy test, the printout and how to read it, and then so there's times to do the machine testing. I don't know if I'd wait. I think you got two weeks before the election or something like that, and I would try to have that done expediently and notify both parties of the testing in a timely manner so they could be there to observe. Give everybody cookies.
Thank you.
Stan, the election's a big part of the job, but the daily work in the courthouse becomes most of it. How do you feel like how do you feel about getting along with people internally in your office and in the courthouse, and how do you feel like you do with the public, dealing with the public?
As I said in my resume, I've worked with the public for decades as a firefighter, not so much as a military, because I was in a priority resources. If you don't know what that is, that's nuclear weapons. And I was an alarm monitor and an entry controller at a weapons storage area, so I didn't get to see much of the public. But as a firefighter, I dealt with the public in the most trying times when they're in the face of death and destruction. I was there to help. As a union president, I certainly worked with the administration. I negotiated municipal contracts, and I say me, but I had a negotiating team. It was myself and 4 others, but we negotiated contracts with the municipality, and then as the Weston County Freedom Festival, I've worked with the public. I put on freedom festivals, and most probably 9/11 Memorial, where 2 years ago I joined with the Newcastle Veterans Memorial Committee, and together we've been putting on this beautiful 9/11 event. And that's all working with people. You got to get vendors, you got to get not so much with the 9/11, but with the Freedom Festival, I had to get vendors, sponsors. I had to negotiate venues, and I'm a really good guy. And I am, and I like to laugh, and I do, and I have this amazing skill of putting people together. I mean, you're here today, right?
That's true.
Thanks,
Stan.
Thanks,
That's true.
I got good guy and cookies. Going down so far.
Because of you.
Well, make them mint chocolate chip.
And now you made me lose my place. So can you name 3 sources of revenue for the county's budget, and do you know how those numbers are obtained?
Revenues for the county budget. taxes, right? Property taxes, that would be a revenue. Grants is revenue for the county budget that I've witnessed. I've seen a lot of grants applied for, $1 million grants for radios for the central dispatch, and that's certainly a revenue for the county. Fees, licenses, permits would all be revenues for the county. I don't know what idea, anybody?
There's a whole book for it.
Yeah. I'll find the money.
Show me the money.
Okay.
Isn't that guy's name Stan that says show me the money? What's his name? Jerry. It's
Stan,
close.
I'm sorry. Dumb right.
Yes, I am sorry.
Well, I'm not scolding you, I was just questioning.
I'll fight.
Sorry.
Because I can help you out if you got a disagreement.
And I'm going to ask you another kind of relevant question to this book. And the reasoning I'm asking these questions as I fronted to the others is because I want a better knowledge to ask you another question. Maybe after you answer this one, you get one more around here. But are you aware of just like advertising requirements that are required for our county to follow with the legal newspaper situations, things that may need or that need to be advertised, and also any of the responsibilities regarding those?
I know if you're deciding to hire a contractor for some job, there's got to be advertisement put out there for obviously the job. Take three bids usually, I think, per job, or try to. I'm sure as far as elections, there's all kinds of notifications that need to be put out to the press. Job vacancies, I guess, would have to be put out to the press and advertised for. And I guess I'm running out of ideas right now. So.
It's okay. They're not easy questions.
Do you have any experience in taking in-depth meeting minutes?
Yes. Fortunately. Yeah. No, I did it. Yeah, I've been doing it for a couple of years as a Republican Party secretary. And
My simplest questions, but might be the most important. Why do you desire this position, Stan?
I'm going to be rigorously honest. In some respects, I'm one of the reasons we're here today. And I saw something, and I took a stand on it, but I didn't want to leave the county in a lurch. And so I'm stepping up to fill a vacancy that perhaps I was part who created. And I care about. I think. I talked about my community service here. I do movie nights too. I've done town halls. The senior center loves my movie nights. They just can't get enough of it. Maybe it's the cookies and the popcorn. But again, as folksy as it sounds, I cared about the county enough to possibly create this position, and I care enough to try to fill it, to help out in the interim.
There's a lot of organization and multitasking involved between that office and the other offices and us. So you always have someone coming at you for something. How do you feel like you would deal with that? How do you feel like you would deal with the stress of that?
So I learned a long time ago, if I let stuff pile up, it becomes more stressful. So deal with things immediately, as immediately as possible. Prioritize the most important and take care of it. And and pray a lot.
You make that man.
And get stressed, Bob. Do that.
As a county clerk,
I walk a lot.
as a county clerk, you'll deal with confidential information, sometimes pretty serious stuff. At some point, here's a scenario. You walk into a grocery store and across the aisle you can hear one of your employees perhaps disclosing some of that. Can you walk me through the steps that you would take to maintain that confidentiality? It's kind of a two-pronged question of what would you do in the first situation, what would you do in the second?
So I'm not.
So somebody walks in, you walk into
I
a
walk in the store
and you hear somebody disclosing some confidential information that came from your office.
So, one, I had a secret clearance from the U.S. government, so I can hold a secret. But I wouldn't obviously deal with it right there. I would talk to that employee after and hear what they had to say, because whether I agree with what they did or not, I still need to hear what they have to say about it. And then I would show them the guideline, because I was here when you guys drew up the guidelines and all that, which may pertain to that and their job and not doing that. And of course, if they own up to it and they admit it, I believe everybody gets a second chance. If they denied it, then there might have to be another course of action.
Thank you.
Okay, Stan, I guess some of my questions that I was asking you revolve around this book and the fact that this isn't a one-size-fit-all kind of deal, and there's a tremendous amount of knowledge that you're going to have to gain in this job. And how would you approach the requirements you need to accomplish that training? And at what level would you rely on the current staff in that position? And maybe how would you handle employees that are currently in that clerk's office?
Well, as far as the training that's, I guess, dictated within that book you got, what is that book anyway?
It's a Wyoming state statute book.
Oh, okay, all right, cool. I would rely heavily on the current employees in the county clerk's office, because they've been doing it. And actually, I'm going to have to learn from them, and a lot. So, state statutes, I can research them with the best of us, and I would do my best to bring myself up to current state statutes and how they govern my position as county clerk. Did I answer?
Yeah, I kind of had another aspect to it, like handling that with the employees. I mean, you said you're going to rely heavily on them, and I hope that or that you do that works out. If that was the case, if you were
Most people really like me. Really, they do. I'm not without flaws, though. I said that Saturday. I'm a very flawed human being.
Just an easy question. Do you understand the confidentiality aspect of executive sessions?
Yes. I wish they weren't so long sometimes. I understand. For 4 years I've sat in this room and I've watched how county government works. 2 of those years at the same time I was sitting in front of the Weston County School District #1 school board, and I sat out in the halls for hours at a time during executive sessions, and so I understand the need for them, and I've learned a lot. 4 years of sitting between the school board and the Weston County Board of Commissioners.
If moderate Republicans their dislike for Freedom Caucus is enough that they'll actually vote for a Democrat. I mean, there is there is that potential.
Yeah, it's just because to me, you know, and I watch all of these public meetings, and you don't see the moderates at the meetings.
No.
You don't see those people that sit on the middle of the fence at the meetings. They're not passionate enough about anything to show up to the meetings, to stand on a podium and say something. You have to be extremely passionate about politics to be willing to put yourself out there and to be judged in that sense. And I don't think you see the people that ride the middle of the fence doing that because they ride the middle of the fence. So they're like, I really don't care either way. It doesn't impact my life directly. I'm not planning on getting an abortion. So why do I care about what the abortion law is? Like, I don't own a bunch of land, so property tax doesn't hurt my feelings. Like, I think there's a lot of those people, the young people in Wyoming.
In accepting this interim clerk position, to your knowledge, do you have any conflict of interest with that position?
No. I'm tired. Is that what you mean?
Any?
No.
I mean, it's not
Well, I got an appointment coming up next week. I got a doctor's appointment. I might have to get. No, that's true. I do.
Thank you.
What would you say your computer skills are like?
Let's see. In Lake Wabigon, they'd say slightly above average.
Good reference. Good for you. Okay, here's another scenario. You are handed a document that has been requested to be recorded, and you notice 2 different spellings of a name. What would you do?
There was a name that was obviously pertinent to that document. If it pertained to the person's whose name is on there, I guess I'd have to contact them and find out the correct spelling.
Thank you.
To make sure I had it right, because official documents are important. You know, when we did municipal contracts, somebody asked me about how would I make sure everything on the ballot was correct, and I said proofreading. But what we did was, when we had the contract and before we signed it, 2 people, one would sit there and they would read the contract, and one would sit there and follow. And you read it, but you'd say comma, period, everything that was there, you would say, and the person would follow along, because that's how important it is. So that's the
Thank you.
I guess the last one I had is just, you understand that part of this position, you may be here at midnight and back at 6 in the morning occasionally. Just curious if that's pretty copacetic to that happening from time to time.
I would do whatever the job requires as far as time. Get time and a half. Don't you?
Sure.
In the fire department, I work 14-hour shifts. I work all night, 6 at night to 8 in the morning. So, and then sometimes, yeah. So anyway, I would do what is required.
Thank you.
Midnight though?
My list runneth empty.
All I had, Stan.
I'm done. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Stan.
Mr. Chairman, can we get the picture?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, ma'am. Some stuff in front of us.
All right. First of all, I guess I'd like to thank all 3 of you for throwing your name in the hat. I think that it's very clear that all 3 of you, I mean, I've watched you, most of you for a number of years, take part in this process, and I know that all of you sincerely and deeply care about the county business and politics in general, I think. So thank you for showing interest in this process and throwing your name in the hat, I guess. As far as moving forward with the selection process, again, I would probably, either we could throw out a motion, or we could put on a list, I guess, of names. I'm a bit torn on how to approach the choice of the final selection.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask the county attorney a question?
Mm-hmm.
What is the legal repercussion in choosing an individual not of the three provided?
I believe the statute at 11-118, if I'm not mistaken, says, I'll just check to make sure, I think it is mandatory that you select one of the three that the Republican Party forwarded to you. So I was just looking at that there. But I don't think there's a... Or 22, 18, and 11. Yeah, it says the commissioner shall fill a vacancy by appointment of one of the three to hold office. I think that's...
It goes on further.
There's another
If there's no selection made, there's also other options.
Are we talking about in Title 18?
Yeah.
I think...
D6.
Wait, is it 125? I think if we're talking about... If we're talking about that one, I think that only applies to appointment of commissioners themselves, when the rest of the board doesn't replace a vacant seat. In that particular spot, if I'm thinking about that right.
No, there's one that's, I think it's D6. Or DD.
Do you know what, under what section?
The same.
Section 2218. Not seeing that.
Hopefully I handed it to you correctly.
Oh, I think it's a D. D.
Oh, sorry, baby.
It can happen if they do not appoint 3 people.
No. Mr. Chairman, I would just ask that we vote on all 3 of them.
I think it would be, that process, it sure seems mandatory to me under the first statute that I referenced, and then it goes, I think it's a kind of a dangerous game not to follow that procedure, but. Thank you.
Could I ask a question? Like when you had the, I forget the words, but you did a vote a few weeks ago where you had like 1, 2, 3, and the lowest score won. Could it be done in that fashion?
We've been sued before because of things like that.
No, there will be no secret ballot. There will be no ballot.
Okay.
So, I guess, does anybody have any discussion they want to, I'm going to just proceed with names, I think, at this juncture.
That's fine with me.
If there's any discussion that you guys want to have prior to that, I think, let's have it shortly here and then.
You know what?
From what we've heard, being advised that we can't go into executive session for consultation, which that's fair. We got his advice. I think it behooves us just to go. That's my opinion.
I know there's a process for it if we can't come up with one name, because it's just, they went through this in Park County just recently. On their county clerk up there, or that was their assessor. Their assessor, it follows them the same rules to their county assessor.
More time, Michael, or you? Michael, you want a minute or two? Or?
No, I mean, there's a sort of a gap to me. It's mandatory under that first section we talked about. I think that's the legislative intent on that is more if there's just lack of action, but I still think that how do you put it? The two are kind of at odds with each other. I think the statute provides for what is supposed to happen, other than just lack of action on the commissioners. You guys have moved forward, and that's just how I read it. Some of these statutes aren't the best written when they compare and contrast to one another. So,
Mr. Chairman, I did call Secretary of State, so I'm very comfortable in what their discussion with me was.
So, and your opinion in a position of a non-quorum, there is
another
structure. Time's ticking, got about a minute on the call. Go ahead. Okay. In particular order of names, we would like either interview or reverse order
Go reverse this time. I hope that's fine.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
So
Take a vote.
Speak. I know Sheridan County just went through this too with one of the filling elected official spot. What happened there, the names were brought forward, they were not seconded, so there was no action taken, then it was turned over to a judge to appoint out of all of the applicants. That's what happened up there. Same with what happened in Park County.
I think it's Sheridan County, if I remember right. If you can correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't that board just say, "Hey, we're just not going to do it," and the judge said, "Yes, you are."
Now what happened up there is the name was brought forward, there was no second made, so it died for a lack of second. So no, excuse me, no action was taken. It was turned over to the judge, and then they petitioned. The applicants then petitioned the judge, and the judge made a selection out of it. Because they up there, those board of commissioners deemed the most qualified person wasn't brought forward. And that was the same thing that happened in Sheridan County or in Park County. But their names came forward, but none of them got passed. I just visited with those commissioners yesterday.
So in the event that you call 3 names and there's not a quorum on the 3 names?
A majority?
Yeah, that's sorry, that's not a majority.
Then
what do you do, sit in here and fight each other until?
No. That's when it gets turned over to the judge, and I would suggest reach out to the Park County attorney, and because they most recently dealt with it, and it's still fresh on their mind what direction they went, and how it was handled.
I guess I would like to, each one of us, just go down the line and say who our choice is and why.
I'd like to vote. Put them up and we vote.
I mean, really, in a way, that kind of is giving you a choice. I mean, I don't have a problem. A short elaboration on why that's your choice. But a vote would be pretty clean.
Do it in discussion.
Okay. So, do we need to do a motion to vote on how do we run that? I've never done this.
You move that you're going to place that person in. It's seconded. You vote on it.
So a motion, a motion's made, and it's either seconded or it dies for lack of second. If it does a second, it goes to a vote.
And if we get 2 that we choose, we go back and do it again.
So, I'd make a motion that we appoint Stanley Jasinski to the position of Weston County Clerk. Is that good enough for the motion? Everybody's eyes. Is there a second? Hearing none. I make a motion to appoint Tricia Bauman to the position of County Clerk, Weston County Clerk.
Second.
Wait a second.
Second.
Yeah, you got a second. That's you. Discussion on the motion on the floor to appoint Tricia Bauman, apologies, to Weston County Clerk. Yes, ma'am.
In my eyes, Patricia may have less experience in some ways, but I think her personality and her earnestness to learn would fit better in the environment she's going to have to be going into. I think also she's the only one that was actually going to run for the position of clerk. Therefore, I think she actually wanted to do this before this opportunity came up. she was already planning to run for the office, so she had a personal interest in it before this.
So one of the questions that I asked the Secretary of State, it was not the Secretary of State, it was the Secretary of State's office, a gentleman named Paul. I asked him the question that was asked at the Republican Party about this candidate not being a registered Republican. And bless his heart, he went through the statute with me and he gave a pretty surprised answer. He had never read that statute before. And he said, it looks like to me that the legislature made an assumption. And he was quite clever in his conversation with me of, and you know what assumptions mean. And it was quite giggly. But he said, it looks to me that that was not the intent. And we always talk about intent, but the literal reading of the statute allows that candidate to be there, which means a Democrat could have been in this also. So only the requirement was a person of and it's not even qualified voter, there's another term, but and that also in the discussion, I also had the discussion about the D6. And that one does say that you can do it that way, but it must be a member of the party.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to bring that up, that was my discussion, because I wanted it clear with the Secretary of State's office that if something should occur, that I had full blessing on weekends.
Any other discussion? All those in favor for Tricia Ballin as Weston County Clerk, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say aye.
Aye.
There's three. We'll make another motion to appoint James or Michael, what do you prefer?
I answer to both.
Okay. Mr. Tooman to Weston County Clerk. Is there a second? Hearing none. So we're in a new pass.
Oh, it's just Michael, you reach out to the Park County Attorney. So we get whatever proceedings need to be going to get that done.
Yeah, I'll check on this, and when you read this statute, you can go both ways, you know, so I'm gonna check on some case law, if there is any.
That was the most recent one. I know they appointed a Fremont County judge to handle the filling position, making the decision. So
Yeah, in the case law, and there's just some gaps from what I can tell, just like what Marty talked about, because that question was
Like it hurt. I am so sorry I flinched because that looked like it hurt.
just like the statute you talked about when it was brought to my attention last week about whether it had to be a Republican, one of the three people, and it just says qualified individual, and the only person that needs to be qualified is a resident. For this position, you just have to be a resident of the county. So there's some gaps all over the place, but I will move forward accordingly.
I want to finish with saying I appreciate you all going through this process. I know that this is taking a lot of time and effort out of many people's hands this weekend. And 3 times I heard in this room
how qualified our current clerk's office is and how much they would lean on them. And so that's where I'm struggling very much with this choice. And I think you will find that you'll probably be in good hands with the judge to potentially make that opinion minus the I've struggled with this. The feelings that I felt after over the course of the last week or so. So, thank you very much. Thank you. Very qualified man. Thank you for taking the time to.
I'm not unhappy.
Thank you. Thank you for understanding. We're in a tough spot.
Well, like I said, I'm happier on this side than on that side.
I understand. Thanks. We don't have anything under old business.
Yeah,
we
we
do. What was it? Sorry. I forgot.
What did you pick?
Scholarships. Somebody needs to go give scholarships.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. If anybody wants
You
to.
gave those to me, right?
Yes, I gave you those. Does anybody want to?
Is it Wednesday, what time, when, how many? I know how many.
Wednesday.
You don't have to answer how many.
It is, for Newcastle, it is the 13th.
Wednesday.
Oh, and she didn't tell me what time.
I think it's 9:45 or 10. I think it says it on there.
It's on Wednesday. I do not. The 13th is Wednesday.
Like, especially if you want to run for office again. I mean,
That's fine.
I think it would be an opportunity for, especially you, Garrett, and Vera, to get in front of the folks enough and be able to offer that to a child enough, and if you were interested. But if not overly, I have no problem doing it, or letting the principal, he's done it in the past.
What day is yours up there?
13th at 2:30.
Okay, I'm gonna have to pass because I have people graduating. And that's why I've done it the last couple of years and I've really enjoyed it, but I just want to be grounded.
Yeah, I fully plan on doing it, but if somebody else wanted to, I would step aside, because I have done that 2 or 3 times now.
It's fun. I'll do it if nobody else wants to. If you want to do it.
No, but yeah, I'd be glad to do the Newcastle one.
You do? You want
Yeah, I just need to
I'll
know.
find out the time.
Yeah, I mean, if it's,
Here, I'll take the paperwork up, and if you find out you want to do it, let me know.
Okay.
And I can meet you wherever, and if not, I'll just present. That works. Same goes for you, Ed, if you want
So-
to do it.
I can't.
She needs to know by the 7th, though.
Yeah.
So only 2 days about that. For update. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I thought I'd have it.
Okay.
Do we need to, are we done? We good with that? We got it figured out who's going on it?
yeah, just let me know, please.
And I have these, so I'll find out, and I'll bring them to you?
That's
Or
fine.
probably give them to the high school, don't you think?
You can bring it to me, but, I always have a jacket for them.
Okay.
So I'll bring enough, so what do we have? How many jackets do we need? 3?
Well, 2 for Newcastle.
And 1 for, you don't have a jacket for it, do you?
No.
I'll bring 3, okay? And just, tomorrow I'll bring 3, I'll just donate them, because it's so much nicer to hand it in a jacket.
Nice packet.
So, here's a question though, the alternates, do you do anything for them?
No, that's just
Okay.
waiting if they give you a message and say they're not going to college, or whatever, or
So I
they,
assume.
or they choose another college,
Okay.
They have to let us know.
So, that for me.
Yes, that's separate.
And
Put it in
she's
here.
gonna get jackets.
Yeah, I'll bring them tomorrow. How are you? You wanted to stop by and get
Swing
one?
by right now?
Right now?
Well, Ricky's probably gonna give
You're
us till
kind of
9,
busy.
so
Oh, yeah.
9:15.
I mean, you know, my store's closed.
You're not busy
Well,
right
as
now,
long
go
as-
get him.
As
I'll
long
go
as
get
she
'em.
gets it to you before.
I can get it done Saturday, Sunday.
13.
I can
Okay,
get it up, I can get it
okay.
on.
I still know that I'm coming down.
I gotta go up to Saturday. I can get it to you then.
I'll just bring them all up tomorrow. I always donate them. It just looks so much nicer.
Yeah, we'll get it done.
I had a couple stick together. and I was
Yeah, they do, and it's embarrassing when you can't
It
hand
was
them.
kind of embarrassing.
And I'll bring you a Wyoming pin too. I always give Wyoming pins.
Okay.
Weston County, been to.
Oh, I could get a Weston County pin too. Yeah, but it says county commissioner on it. They don't want to know that. Well, what do they do? It's a commissioner.
It's a commissioner scholarship.
It's a commissioner scholarship. Very good idea.
Okay,
Thank you, Eduardo.
That's the worst she calls me, I'm lucky. That is pretty high up here.
okay, so we're good on that.
Yeah.
Public comment. Is there any public comment? Yes, sir.
Just an observation, and you guys have, this was a tough job, and I'm sure some people left angry, but the important thing to remember is it wasn't too long ago that you had an interim clerk before that this process went through. The great thing about it is there's an election coming up, and the people of Weston County get to choose who they want. Even the interim before wanted to be in there. I feel like my personal opinion is you have somebody in there that's qualified, and you need stability at a time like this. So I don't think anyone should get real overly concerned, because you still have to run an election, and they'll have to run an election if they truly want it. And it takes time and dedication, and it takes effort. And the important thing is the integrity's there and the want is there. And I think that if people just kind of calm down and use a little common sense and not do the chess movement on a chessboard, which sometimes it feels that way, as you guys know, in the politics world, it will work out the way it's supposed to work out. It doesn't need to come to all the nonsense, or, you know, I'm mad at you or you're mad at me. You said it best, Chairman. All of them said, just like I did as a commissioner, I had to learn, you know, first 2 years I'm kind of lost in a maze trying to figure every term out and everything like that. All of them said they would be counting on the people that are there. So I think that we're in good hands until that time comes, and everybody should learn it. That's why we had to go to board meetings. It takes time, but I think they're all qualified to figure it out, and it'll be up to the Weston County citizens to determine who their clerk is for the next 4 years. And I wish them well, but that's where it should be at. It should be in the short term. I mean, that person, hopefully, you know, she gets the spot, but if she doesn't, then you have more turmoil because you're starting over again and you're trying to reestablish yourself. So that's what election integrity is, and that's what elections are for, and that's what Weston County, the citizens will decide. And I'm sure that hopefully they'll take all that into consideration and move forward. So thank you guys for the tough decision today. I'm sure it's difficult, especially for you, Amber, and for the people that applied. I mean, that takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of effort, and it doesn't get unnoticed.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Commissioner comment, Marty?
I have a couple. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Sure, Martha.
This always comes around. in talking, and it was explored today too, in fact, expressed. But I've noticed a lot of times when I went to go to our website, there are very outdated pieces, portions. If you go flip over on this side, a chairman from 6, 7, 8 years ago is the chairman. And, I mean, there's just this haphazard place where you hit. So what I'm asking is that sometimes, and probably the wrong time, with all the issues that we're having, that perhaps we can have one of the people in the clerk's office kind of be an IT person, a person that just takes that those type of items and puts them on there and keeps track and keeps just tabs on that, because it's somewhat embarrassing when you say for someone to go to the website and there's something on there that says, by the way, we're taking nominations and we're done 2016. You know, it's like, really? And it just depends. It's haphazard. You just never know what you're gonna get. So if we could get someone, I don't know if we can go to the extent of doing it on our own, but have someone that just takes that a personal responsibility of that's what they do. You go to that person and say, hey, can we fix this up? So I'd like to discuss that in another meeting if we could.
I think that's an excellent idea.
I want to take the time too to thank Road and Bridge for the county road book. I don't know how many of you guys have looked at it. They did an excellent, excellent job. That is a resource that you can't carry in your back pocket because it's still regular size, so there's a limit there. Sorry, I'm just trying a little humor. I know you guys need food and sugar, but whatever. So I'd like to give them a personal thank you because Marty did a fabulous job on that. I also want to, it was brought up today too, about the August 18th meeting. I think it's a good time for us now, if we choose to move it, that we move it. And we do it today.
Well, we do it at the next meeting, would you be okay with that?
I think sooner the better.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that if you want to put that on.
It just happens that our agenda oftentimes turns into I'm sorry, no, this is your time. This is the only reason I'm here.
Hey, I just second.
We've had situations where we've gone to Upton and there's a lack of things.
It's done by 10 o'clock.
Yeah, and
I have no problem with that, Mr. Chairman, that's fine.
yeah, let's get it on it for sure. I'm glad that whoever noticed it or whoever it was, that it was that time frame.
I'm not going to take credit because Ed Weirdo needs this. And the only other thing I had, and it's just a topic of discussion, because all conflicts of interest have to be by statute declared by the person that sees the conflict of interest. And so I just wanted to bring it up because I was reading that when I was reading the minutes. It's up to Commissioner Borton when he's sitting on the planning and zoning, but that has he has no financial gain, or any of us would have, unless it was, and then we should be stepping away from it anyway. But I just wanted to bring that up. It's just a topic of discussion. He doesn't have to. It's his choice. He can do it any of our choice. We're the ones that just. But I thought when I was reading that, he didn't have to do that. But I just wanted to bring it up. It's just a comment. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I have a cookie?
No.
Oh.
You're gonna raise you something.
Yes, I do, and you'll probably all be mad at me, but what happened here today, I'm a little disappointed, and I understand that it's pretty clear to see that there's possibly something going on with who they sent us for the 3 candidates. Whether that was someone's plan to get who they wanted in there, or whether it was just the way it worked out, and our interim clerk wasn't in their mix when they made that decision. I think she's doing a wonderful job, and that's really sad. My concern is, I heard after the fact that, well, we need everything to be, we don't need this new interim in person in there to cause chaos and confusion during the election. We need things to stay the way they are, and it'll help things run better. That's fine, but now we've bit off another problem. Now we've just exchanged one problem for the other, because now we've said we don't want any of them. So now we're going to have to go through the process of what happens next, and the legalities of possibly even a judge picking who's in there. Who knows? But we've just traded one problem for the other. I'm not sure we made any progress.
I feel like this, I feel like the spirit of this meeting has been focused around honesty and truth. I do, as far as the way that the board has handled a situation. My concerns are also similar to Vera's when I get calls yesterday from constituents, long-term constituents in this county, and they are concerned about our county. They don't care about friends. We've got a short few months that needs to be taken over by an individual that is an important one, and I can't wait until the election to when the people of Weston County actually get to choose their clerk by their vote. That is the most important. Until then, trying to make the correct decision, and I was blown away that Amber's name wasn't. I'm like, what's going on here? That's how I felt. I felt cheated as an individual of this county, and I hope that I made myself clear today that way. And I'm interested in the future success of this county, and we have to stick to making good decisions even when they're difficult. Even if it's just a few little months or whatever the case might be. I'm not at a point to where anyone can just take this on. This is an important task to take over for this time period before we as a county choose that clerk. So I wanted to make myself clear that these are difficult decisions, but the correct choices, even when pressured, need to be made.
A couple things. To that meeting Saturday where the three names were brought forward, it was very painful to sit in the audience and watch how the outcome came about. And I'll leave it at that. With that, I mean, if you had been there, if you sat through that meeting, it was should have been there. That's all. I'll leave it at that. The other thing is May 13th through the 15th is WCCA spring meeting in Orland to go over our WCCA's proposed budget and finalize the budget. The good news is Weston County's dues to WCCA is $6,893 is what's proposed. It's down $1,256, which is 15.41%. So that's our proposed dues that will be discussed next week right there. So I'll be up there in Portland on Wednesday, Thursday, and finishing up Friday.
I guess mine is kind of echoing a lot of this. I think that we had three individuals who are highly qualified in various different levels for different categories of life. And I appreciate them for that, and I appreciate their interest in what they want to see this county strive towards. But I also see a county that's in a lot of turmoil right now. The judicial system has been used to help further that at this point. And I would like to, my hope, I guess, is that at a different level, if it ends up at a different level in front of a judge or whatever it is, maybe that he or she has the wisdom to choose the best clerk for our situation that we're in. I'm not going to pick a favorite in this race. Because like I said, I think everybody has their own qualities. However, I didn't really hear a lot of qualifications regarding the duties that are going to need to take place during the next several troubling months that I think that we're going to encounter. But anyhow, that's all I have. So with that, how about we don't wait an hour? I think there's 2 or 3 individuals here that maybe want to talk about budget things, and if you guys are okay with that.
Absolutely.
The regular meeting adjourned.
Yes, sir. Regular meeting adjourned.